Hello, we'll start our painting today. So make sure to grab your paint brushes and your paint colors. If you don't have any paint colors, acrylic works fine, but you just have to water it down. Also grab a pencil, an eraser, and then we'll get started with our reference image. So today we're doing landscape, and let me just grab the picture. Just 1 second. Sorry about the wait. Today we are going to be painting an image from 1986. It's The Mists of Morning. It's a pretty beautiful image. It's still and it's landscape as well. We have the bridge and we also have the trees. And although it's not picking up on camera, we have red and we also have blue and white and black. So a bunch of colors, not just monotone. I'll just give you a couple of seconds to take a picture of this section of the page that we will recreate on our own canvas. Okay, so after we have gotten our reference image, what I will do is begin sketching where I want to place my bridge and my trees. And also I have my paper horizontal. I don't have it vertical. I have it horizontal the way I have my page laid out. I would suggest starting using that layout. With that being said, so first I'll grab my pencil and my eraser, and I will begin with where I want to place my trees and bridges. Just going back to the image. Give me 1 second. Here we go. So right here, we can see that on the page, the bridge is towards the top, and it also has a reflection that is mirrored. So I would say on my page, it needs to start at the top, not quite the center yet. So I would start it somewhere up here. And again, we're doing basic shapes. So we aren't fully drawing our bridge quite yet. So I want to place it roughly somewhere using a light hand. Placing it somewhere over there. It looks like a rectangle because I'm just placing the shape. After that, looking at this piece of land, I think of it as a triangle. So I would just start from somewhere over here and draw a triangle like this. They don't have to be perfect shapes, they're just rough sketches. And then I will create my background and my foreground. So far we only have two shapes on our page, and that's fine. What I will do is I will draw a line. Just roughly a straight line. It will get covered up by the trees later on. After we have our straight line, or roughly straight line, and then a rough shape of the bridge and a rough shape for the piece of land, what I will do is create this little piece of land, and I'll roughly create a circle as to where it should be. So these shapes mean nothing right now, but they're nice foundation blocks to start off of. After we've done that, we can start on our bridge. So with our bridge, we can see a lot of triangles and straight edges. So what we're going to do, just straight ahead, try to draw a straight line as possible. So almost cutting our box in half. So after we have done that, I will try to find the center of our bridge and just draw a column in the middle. And then from there, what we will do is we will draw a straight line, again, as best as possible. And then we will begin doing the design of our bridge. So far we have 3 pieces of metal, and we will repeat that pattern. Again, you will draw it very lightly, but for me, in order for it to show up on camera, I have to use a heavier hand. But yours will be very light, and we will also erase these lines once we start watercoloring. Just playing around with the design, making sure it's as symmetrical as possible. Just trying to replicate these bridges. Let me see if I can use something to help it. Let's see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So I am missing one more on this side. I have to extend my bridge. Let's see. And then this one is cut off on this end. Don't worry if it looks a little messy and smudged. We will clean up always at the end. So now it is time to create that little piece of metal hanging off. So right here, if you can see, our bridges look pretty similar. Not quite duplicated of each other, but a nice first attempt. We'll put it right here. We'll put the reference image and the sketch together. All right, now to create the reflection in the water. So I will turn my page upside down to create this reflection. For this bridge. I will just turn my page upside down and do the same process that I did. So I will create another rough box. All right. Oh, it's not on camera. Give me 1 second. And after that, what I will do is I will begin with these metal columns. And then I will split it in half. Then I will thicken it up. After that, I will create that metal, those triangle pieces. We'll go straight up again. Trying to create what we did on the bottom back at the top. Having that water reflect our bridge. All right. So if I were to turn our page upside down, it looks like it has been reflected. So I'll give you a couple of seconds and also some adjustments. So I noticed mine is a little bit tilted. So I will just fix that. Let's see. And this one here. Hmm. Second. My spacing has some issues. I'll just eyeball it. Let's see. Give me one second. Have to fix the other one. Okay, here we go. Now it makes sense. I had them reversed. So I had this one. Okay, now it makes sense. And this is how it should roughly look like. There you go. Okay, so now it looks like our bridge. So if you think about them as letters, I see the letter N, the letter N, the letter N. The same one for this, letter N, letter N. So making sure our bridge looks somewhat like this, and then replicating that top for right here. Making sure that we're also using the same pencil thickness for our sketches. One second. Let's see. There we have it. Okay. I'll give you a couple of seconds to get that bridge sketched out. Here we go. And now I'll also just make an adjustment for this little circle here and then move it down. I'll move it just a little further. So here is what we have. And I'll quickly write the date. I forgot. Now that we have finished up our bridge, and we can always go back to it if we want to make any other adjustments. But now we can start focusing on the lovely trees that we have, specifically the ones at the bottom, making sure the camera picks it. And then more trees in this foresty area. So looking back at this triangle that we have created for the piece of land, what we are going to do is we are going to slowly start creating rough, jagged lines. So I'll show you first what I mean. Or first, maybe we should start actually with the simple trees. They're just straight lines. So we'll actually just start with these rough, uneven lines. Then I'll start adding the branches. So this tree doesn't have a lot of leaves on it. And I'll just repeat that. Then what I'll also do is add a secondary line. So right now it doesn't look like we have much on our page, but the painting will bring it to life. And then now we start with our huge forest. But on here, you can't see much of it. It's not very well defined what you can see. They all just blend into one. So what I will do is create just one rectangle piece on top of my triangle. And I'll show you what I mean. That being said, so this is roughly how it should look like. And then I will erase this rough line. And then I will begin to roughly just create what looks like the top of many trees in the forest. So there is no necessarily pattern that I'm doing. I'm just making sure I'm drawing these squiggly lines. Rough shapes for the forest, rough, uneven shapes. I'll give you a second. All right. So what we will do now is, let me bring this up to the camera. So what we'll do now is draw the trees on the bottom. First, we will start with the trunk, the body of the tree. It's very thin. And then we will add the branches. They're not straight, they're very organic. We will just repeat this for this tree. Eight. And again, we can always erase things and make adjustments. All right, I'll make a couple more trees on the bottom. So right now they don't have their leaves, they only have just thin branches, and that's fine. And it's very teeny tiny, so we only see the top of it. Again, just a non-straight line, very organic. All right, mixing that up. Right now they look like very dry leaves, but they are just naked trees without any leaves. And then looking back at our photo, These trees in the forest have a reflection in the water. Almost everything does. So we'll make sure we leave some space. Raisins. All right. Now we are still completing more of these trees to fill the bottom of our page. Repeat the same process, very thin lines, uneven, not really straight. All right. Now what we can begin to do is focus up on the other trees, which are more defined. So what we'll do is start with a rough sketch of these trees, of where they should be. And then we will create a rough short shoreline. So it looks a little messy, but that's okay. I'll give you some time to fix any of these. Now, looking at our reference image, the bridge is the proportion of each thing on the page is different than what we have on this page. So the bridge is super small compared to the big island, right? But here we kind of have them match up in size. And that is just for making it easier for us to paint these still life landscapes. But if we were doing a proportional painting or drawing like chess pieces or like the globe that we did, then I would say it would matter. But right now, we're just wanting to paint a lovely, beautiful landscape. All right. So now back to our painting. What we are going to do is we are going to add a couple of trees over here. Again, rough outline. Another one over here. And then one just right here. Right. And then there's a little dirt road in the background. Very hard to notice. But we should maintain the same thickness. So right here, if you can see this road, so just creating the similar thing to it. But I will fix it. It's a little bit slanted. All right. Now what we'll do is we will begin to clean up our page, making sure everything is nice and not as rough as we had first sketched it. All right. Now back to these trees. And then back to the shoreline. All right, it looks pretty similar. We've made nice progress to our landscape. I will say I will fix this one later on, next class, but looking at our reference, although we haven't painted anything quite yet, they're similar. The same thing with our bridge. They are similar to each other. So I will give you some time to look over the reference image to see if there is any details you would like to take a picture of. So just looking at how the water reflects and how we will be using greens and blues and even some reds and oranges for this beautiful landscape. And how there's even a house right there. Right there. So again, pretty tiny details, even how there's trees on the road, the dirt road. So again, I will give you a couple of seconds to catch up. All right, with roughly 30 minutes remaining, what we will do is finish up drawing the trees, and then we will see if we can lay down the basic colors with our watercolors before the next class. Okay, so back onto our trees. let's see. Yeah. So back with my pencil, I will fix this tiny little island. Oh, if it shows up on camera. I will fix this tiny little island. Right, I'll add one more tree. I'll actually shorten this one up. I'll have it kind of float on top. I'll also fix this bridge. All right. Then what I will do is continue with the rough reflection, trying to clean up my work as well. Trying to create a similar shape, even though it's a little bit difficult because lines are crazy. Do you see how these are similar? They are flipped images of each other. Although they're not perfect reflections, they're a good start, and we can always just clean up later. Adding a little island in the corner. Let's see. For our bridge, we are just so this is how it looks like so far. And it will look way more clean and put together once we erase any of the harsh lines that we have. And once we start laying down that beautiful light blue for the water and the green as well for the trees. Very dark foresty green. All right, next up, what we're going to do is just create that reflection for the trees. Right now, it looks like there's upside down trees, but really it's just a reflection in the water. Creating those thin, dry branches. And then mirroring that. So I will add that teeny tiny house. I will start off with a rectangle. Let me bring the page closer. So this is where our tiny, tiny house is. Very tiny, almost doesn't show up. So with that, what we are going to do is we are going to create a tiny square or rectangle. There you go. Then we are going to create that roof. There you go. Here we have our tiny house. All right. I would like to say that roughly our sketches are done. And we have 15 minutes remaining. So what I will start to do is lay down the color green for where our trees and our fields would be. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to get your colors and wet your brushes. So I will dip my brush in some water and then dip it into some green. And then lightly begin to wash. Although this color green is supposed to be darker, let me get a darker green. Not so much a grassy green. So a color green of this shade. So your green would look darker. So we have different shades of green going on in our painting. This shade will be much darker. I will fix this later on, but just waiting for it to dry because if you keep piling on watercolor and more watercolor, soon enough the paper will start to wrinkle and it will start to create tears in the paper, which is not something that we want. Again, making sure that our blue is very faded and washed out. Just adding more water. All right, just laying down the basic foundations. And with 6 minutes remaining, what I will do is I will bring up the reference image one more time. And then I will allow you to continue for the next 6 minutes. So this is actually the shade of green I was hoping to use for this trees as well. But I'll just have to wait until this dries down to fix this bright shade. All right, it looks pretty messy and kind of all over the place right now, but we are just only starting with the basics, warming up. So with that being said, there are 6 minutes left, and we'll just continue coloring for 6 minutes. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll give you one more look over the artwork that we are creating together. But today we are wrapping it up. See you next Monday. We'll continue with our full landscape.